Russian pilots ignored signals from Italian jets responding from NATO's Baltic air policing mission when they violated Estonian airspace, a senior Estonian military official said Saturday. According to Associated Press, the 12-minute incursion was the latest test of the alliance's ability to respond to Russian airborne threats after around 20 Russian drones entered Polish airspace just over a week ago. Russia's defense ministry Saturday denied its aircraft flew into Estonia's airspace, after Tallinn reported 3 fighter jets crossed into its territory on Friday without permission. Estonian officials dismissed the denials, saying the violation was confirmed by radar and visual contact and suggested it could be a tactic to draw Western resources away from Ukraine. The Russian MiG-31 fighters entered Estonian airspace between 9:58 a.m. to 10:10 a.m. local time Friday in the area of Vaindloo Island, a small island located in the Gulf of Finland in the Baltic Sea, the Estonian military said. The Estonian Foreign Ministry in a statement said it was the 4th airspace violation by Russia this year. It still needs to be confirmed if the border violation was deliberate or not, Colonel Ants Kiviselg, commander of Estonia's Military Intelligence Center, told the Associated Press. Regardless, he said, the Russian jets must have known that they are in airspace. The Russian pilots acknowledged some communication from the Italian pilots flying F-35 fighter jets but didn't actually follow the signs, which is partly why they were in Estonian airspace for so long, Kiviselg said. Why they didn't do it, that's a question for the Russian pilots, he added. The Russian jets, he said, came from an airfield near the city of Petrozavodsk in northwestern Russia and were heading to Kaliningrad, the Russian exclave on the Baltic Sea sandwiched between Lithuania and Poland. They were tracked by 2 Finnish fighter jets before being escorted by the 2 Italian jets, which took off from Estonia's Amari air base and followed them into international skies. President Donald Trump responded by telling reporters he will be briefed by aides on the incursion. "I don't love it," he said, adding, "I don't like when that happens. It could be big trouble, but I'll let you know later." Margus Tsahkna, Estonia's foreign minister, told AP the incident was a very serious violation of NATO airspace. The last time Estonian airspace was violated for so long was in 2003, he said, just before Estonia joined NATO. Estonia's government responded by saying it would request consultations under Article 4 of NATO's treaty, which allows a member to formally consult with allies whenever their territorial integrity, political independence, or security is threatened. Poland also used the mechanism after its airspace was violated by Russian drones and, after that, NATO launched its Eastern Sentry mission to boost defenses along its eastern flank.
Selge see, et kas nad nüüd alluvad korraldustele, mis NATO. NATO air policing was doing a good job, and also they were signaling to the Russian pilots that they should change their course. And so far there was no reaction from the Russian pilots. So we can say that at least some of the flight path was intentional, and they must have known that they were in Estonian airspace. The Russian pilots didn't actually follow the signs what the Italian pilots showed them. So why they didn't do it, that's a question for the Russian pilots.
This was a very serious violation of the NATO airspace. We are talking about 12 minutes of violation. Last time we saw it just before Estonia joined NATO, it was 2003. But now this is, the global situation is totally different. The regional situation is different. Just a couple of days before we saw a full-scale attack against Poland with 19 drones. And if you put it all in the pattern, so Russia is turning on the heat, Russia is testing more NATO.
When we talk about yesterday's case, then every situation is different, and of course we need to be proportional. So we look very closely what is the route, how the airplanes are communicating with us, do they react what we are telling them, what is their intention, what are the weapon systems they are carrying with. So there are many indicators we are looking at, and of course yesterday we were very confident that there is no need to shoot them down. So I see here a very clear link that Russia is provoking not only in Poland, not only in Estonia, all NATO in cyber field, in airspace, and the reason behind that is that they think that we should talk more about our own defense and not so much about Ukraine.
The European Union should target Russia's exports of liquefied natural gas, its shadow fleet of aging oil tankers and major energy companies with new sanctions over its war on Ukraine, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Friday. It is time to turn off the tap, von der Leyen said in a video statement. The Commission's proposals must be endorsed by the 27 EU countries before they can enter force. I now call on member states to quickly endorse these new sanctions. We want Russia to leave the battlefield and come to the negotiation table, and this is the way to give peace a real chance, von der Leyen said. According to Associated Press, the bloc has already agreed on 18 packages of sanctions against Russia, and getting final agreement on who and what to target can take weeks. More than 2,500 entities, like banks, ministries and energy companies, and officials have already been hit. The officials include President Vladimir Putin and his associates, scores of Russian lawmakers and several oligarchs. Travel bans and asset freezes are the most common measures. Energy revenue is the linchpin of Russia's economy, allowing Putin to pour money into the armed forces without worsening inflation for everyday people and avoiding a currency collapse. But von der Leyen insisted that EU sanctions are having an impact. Russia's overheated war economy is coming to its limit, she said, noting in particular constant high inflation in Russia. Among the Commission's proposals, 118 additional vessels from Russia's shadow fleet of ships transporting oil would be targeted, bringing the total hit to over 560. Major energy trading companies Rosneft and Gazprom Neft will now be on a full transaction ban, and other companies will also come under an asset freeze if the measures are endorsed, von der Leyen said. Part of the plan, she said, would be to go after those who fuel Russia's war by purchasing oil in breach of the sanctions. Von der Leyen said that the Commission wants to target refineries, oil traders, petrochemical companies and third countries including China. The sanctions would also include export restrictions on items and technologies that can be used on the battlefield.
Unfortunately, over the past month, Russia has shown the full extent of its contempt for diplomacy and international law. It has launched some of the largest scale drone and missile attacks against Ukraine since the beginning of the war, striking government buildings and civilian homes alike, hitting our EU office in Kyiv, the representation of our union. The threats to our union are also rising. In the last 2 weeks, Russian Shahid drones have violated our union's airspace, both in Poland and in Romania. These are not the actions of someone who wants peace. Again and again, President Putin has escalated, and in response, Europe is increasing its pressure. This is why today I'm presenting the 19th package of sanctions. Russia's war economy is sustained by the revenues from fossil fuels. We want to cut these revenues. So we are banning imports of Russian LNG into European markets. It is time to turn off the tap. We are prepared for this. We have been saving energy, we have been diversifying supplies, we've been investing in low-carbon sources of energy like never before. And today these efforts pay off. We are now going after these who fuel Russia's war by purchasing oil in breach of the sanctions. We target refineries, oil traders, petrochemical companies in third countries, including China. In 3 years, oil revenues from Russia have gone down in Europe by more than 90%. Now we're turning that page for good. Our economic analysis is clear. Our sanctions are severely affecting the Russian economy. The interest rate is at 17%. Inflation is persistingly high. Russian access to finances and revenues are consistently decreasing. And Russia's overheated war economy is coming to its limit. Even more interesting is that when speaking directly with partners that speak to Russians, they say that among the first Russian request is sanction relief. So we know that our sanctions are an effective tool of economic pressure. And we will keep using them till Russia comes to the negotiation table with Ukraine for just and lasting peace. We will continue to use all the tools at our disposal to bring this brutal war to an end. I now call on member states to quickly endorse these new sanctions. We want Russia to leave the battlefield and come to the negotiation table. And this is the way to give peace a real chance.